And we are on.
And we are on. So, what?
So I'm the one counting the episodes, so every time is episode 7, episode 8, episode whatever.
Episode whatever, yeah, episode whatever. Yeah, so thank you to whoever is listening or watching us. We are Giovanni, I'm Fernando. No, we are not Giovanni. That's Giovanni, I'm Fernando. Yeah, that's weird.
Our personality is fluid. You can be whatever you want.
Shut up. We are here with you trying to do a couple talks. We have this experiment where we are having talks, trying to bring a little bit of positivity or productivity into certain topics, or specifically on how we consume media and how do we react to media. That's the main focus that we are trying to get here. And what we do is usually we take some article news that we liked or we are interested about, and then we work around a little bit around that to see like how can we try to understand better that information, or if for some reason we are feeling in a certain way when we read about a topic, well, what to consider, how to be feeling, how to keep monitoring that kind of stuff. Also at the same time, just a little disclaimer that we always try to give is we are not experts in many of these topics, and so any correction or something that we miss that could be valuable, it's always welcome. And because we talk in terms of examples, there might be always something that we'll be missing. Once again, we appreciate that you are lending us your ears or eyes. And please, if you are looking this in YouTube, subscribe, like, give us a comment, give us feedback, spread out. Maybe someone will like this. So for today, what are you bringing us?
So I wanted to bring the example of the Deliveroo app.
Okay.
Because we talk about delivery app. So like, for example, in this case, I'm bring the example of Deliveroo, which might be one of the most famous around Europe for sure.
Okay.
And it's used in different countries, mainly UK, but it's basically used everywhere, in Spain, in Italy, in Netherlands, in Germany. And I wanted to bring this example because we talked about working conditions. So in the last episode.
Okay, that's nice. So before we dive in entirely into that topic, we also tried to bring an extra articles that might be interesting. We don't discuss them, we just say why we were interested about. So let's go ahead and start with yours.
Okay.
So the first one is Prince Philip. Oh, this is the UK thing. So what's up with this?
So, I mean, so for sure after the death of Prince Philip, many things are coming out, right? And so one of the articles I read that just blew my mind was that there is these tribes, the Vanuatu, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it properly. They are basically mourning the death of Prince Philip, that was considered kind of a god, I would say, because there is in the article, there is all the story about the god in a mountain, and they were receiving like pictures from Prince Philip. They basically never managed to see him in person, but still they have this connection with him that is very mind-blowing, in my opinion. I mean, a tiny place, tiny island, far away in the Pacific, having this connection with Prince Philip is just mind-blowing.
Okay, let me see. I'm looking at something kind of funny in my camera. Sorry for that.
No, we don't. Sorry, not sorry. We don't accept it.
silent human. Is it? I think it's better. I don't know. Well, okay, so that's the first one. Let's go. So yeah, it's kind of weird. Second one, Canadians. Oh, the Canadians in their indigenous populations.
Yes. So well, the Squamish, this also, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it well, is the indigenous population from Canada. So what happens in this situation, they are speaking about Vancouver, which is the second most expensive city in the world when it comes to homes and
housing.
The average, yes, the housing in general.
Okay.
And what is difficult is to create building and to build new places where to live. But when it comes to these indigenous populations, so the Squamish, since they are indigenous, they have different rules. So they are allowed to do basically whatever they want with the construction and the time, the expenses, and etc. Because their own land. Okay. And so this article is about how the Squamish, so this indigenous population, might help Canada to develop, in particular Vancouver, to develop new housing solutions. So it was very, very nice and interesting to see how to interact with the indigenous population to provide general benefits for all the population. So.
Okay. Yeah, this is usually tend to be kind of controversial, especially when you have indigenous or native populations ruling by themselves, right? Yeah, I'll read this one. And oh no, this is me. Well, I'll just get through this one. Yeah. I mean, this is just it actually ties up a little bit with the also the last episode, because at the end we were talking about the how to be a leader, right? So over here you have Miss Johnson from Microsoft, and she kind of is like a mini interview, a lot of comments of exactly how she has thrived as a leader. And one of the aspects that I from how it's written that I like is she didn't put certain narratives that are pretty common nowadays, like I had this struggle. So yeah, sure, but she sees things in terms of the company or the profession and that kind of thing, right? So it's kind of cool to see that. Also, of course, is the inspiration since how she is, how she started, and most importantly, one of the main characteristics for her to be as a leader is to come forward as someone who doesn't know all the answers. So you come with questions when you're discussing something. So I find it, I mean, it's not an innovative thing, but it's nice to see these kind of articles. So now let's go to your actual last one. Oh gosh.
This one I brought it up because I think it's just hilarious.
Because 2020 had you locked down way too much.
That is true. I mean, so when I read that organized crime is getting into the sea cucumbers, it just, okay, I'm out. I mean, there isn't much to say. So okay. The sea cucumbers, they are considered in some countries as aphrodisiac, and they are having a lot of there are a lot of people consuming them, and so the organized crime got into this business. So just of course go take a look at it and make a laugh.
Diversification. Okay, so the last two from my side, it's this is mostly a blog, a very interesting blog. This person usually discusses a bunch of things. So obviously, it's what is art. So he just talks about something that was reported in the New York Times, in Seoul, South Korea, there was this abstract painting from someone, and apparently all the two individuals came and graffiti on it.
Mhm.
Yeah, in an abstract painting. So the question comes in, like if this is art of vandalism, and actually he presents the questions to be made and his answers, right? Because like if it's already abstract and then you have another person interacting to it and then it does something, so are you devaluating the thing? Are you making a better piece, or what's going on? So it's
How to
always
check
this
this out?
it's really this controversy about what is art, and everything can be art.
Mhm.
Lastly, I think there's a place, maybe you don't know it, it's Venice.
Mhm.
Venice, that's how you
What about
pronounce it, Venice. um,
okay,
yeah,
Venice.
it's
I
in
know.
it's in Italy. uh,
Uh-huh.
this is also not very like new news, but this is also a conversation that comes along with especially certain historical coastal cities and islands, right? Like you have the massive cruises coming with a bunch of people ready to just mess that up everything. But specifically in this article, they talk about the damaging a lagoon that is in Venice. Yeah.
It's
So
Venice. It's Venice.
you don't know that. You don't know that. So yeah, so it's kind of cool to see that going against big corporations in this. This is actually the government going against big corporations who would bring a lot of money, but is the interest to preserve historical and natural things against everything for the money, right? So I mean, this is kind of cool. And with that, we just eat some of the time. So let's go ahead and now let you be and enlighten us.
So back to the main topic, Deliveroo. So as I said, Deliveroo is an app, as many others for delivering food. So there are people working for Deliveroo that are called riders. Okay, that take the food you order and bring this to your place. So of course, in the last year, the lack of possibility to go to the restaurant, let's say, has increased the will of people to bring the restaurant at their own place, at their own home.
Mm-hmm.
So it increased the numbers of riders. Obviously, the offers of work has increased, and with that, it increased also the use of the app.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know that generally when there is an increase on knowledge and use of something, a certain topic, there is an increase on sensitivity about any issues that is surrounding that certain topic. So when it comes to riders, there might be different solution for the work. So what I mean, someone that works for Deliveroo might decide to work as a full-time job, so every day or the week, so as the main job, or might decide to work with it only to round up the salary, perhaps only the weekend. Or I was listening to some interviews. There are some that do it mainly for the satisfaction of seeing happy customers when you deliver food to them. Okay, which is perhaps someone might say something more ethical or whatever. But yeah, so there are many reasons why people might work for Deliveroo. I don't know if you ever heard about that. I don't know how common it is in your, like in Germany. I know it's used, but I don't know if it's the most used one.
Well, my difficulty right now is to try to understand the difference from Uber Eats and that kind of stuff. but I think it's kind of the same system, just different companies, I guess, the ones who serve. I'm not sure.
Yes, they're basically competitors.
Mm.
So they're basically competitors. They compete on the same market, providing, I would say, basically the same service.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
So
so
then I would
you
assume that they have the same issues that Uber as a company, Uber, Lyft, and all those, they are usually having. Like,
yes, many issues like lately. Deliveroo came out more strongly. So in relation to the others. And so that's why the main issues are now facing them. So Deliveroo is facing the main issues because it's coming out to be perhaps the most used one.
uh-huh.
So, but it's in general the idea, the issue that can have Deliveroo, it might happen with any other platform that provide the same service with the same requirements and etc.
So for example, so they then the person who work for them, they face a lot of well, it's because in Uber they usually have a lot of lawsuits and that kind of stuff because they are not employees, right?
Yes,
So
that's yes, exactly.
I
That's
don't know, like in their case, like I don't know if this new app or something or service, it has the same issue right now, or I mean they will eventually be getting hit, especially if they are growing up. Like usually when you have a very well established company like an Uber Eats or something, then someone else tries to come in, they will try to bring them down, right?
yes.
So I don't know what are like the issues they are facing, or like how do they treat I don't know how to call them, because they are not going to be employees, they're going to be
Yes.
like associates or something.
Yes, kind of self-employed. Okay, so they are self-work. They kind of freelancers, I would say. So they call them riders because that's the main issue, the main point I wanted to bring up, and it relates to the working condition we were speaking in the last episode. So the main controversy. So as we saw, there might be different reasons why someone decided to work for this app. Okay, but the main purpose is obviously the economic purpose. So it's to earn money.
Are you telling me that people don't like to be working for free?
Well, sorry if I'm not communist enough. Anyway, so basically that's the main controversy that came out lately, and is based on working condition, because the riders are generally paid depending on the time that they are working and the deliveries that they do. Okay, and so because of this, in some cases there are some that receive very little money, which is less than the minimum wage, okay, in a certain country.
But you cannot talk about minimum wage. I don't know, but you wouldn't be able to talk about minimum wage because this is not an employee.
Exact. That's the main point. So the riders, so the people that work for Deliveroo are saying, we work quite a lot, we are not paid enough, we don't have days off, we don't have vacation, and blah blah blah. And governments are getting into that and saying, okay, you should start seeing riders, so people that work for you, as employees. So want to start seeing riders as employees with an established wage and blah blah blah, and everything that comes with it. And this, yeah, please.
Yeah, I mean, it's because I'm thinking a little bit beyond the government. I'm trying to think a little bit from the people who work for that. I mean, this is what it is called, the gig economy. Yeah. The gig economy is all these smaller things that maybe you don't have an actual contract and that kind of stuff. Yeah. It is a very unfortunate situation that I think a lot of us, we are finding, we're getting into, because it's this philosophy that get whatever that provides you with money. And while sure, I mean, we need to have an income to be able to eat and be able to live, this kind of puts us in a very tricky situation, because we are technically willing to sacrifice well-being just for the sake of having to survive. Yeah. And that's messed up. And this is why you have certain governments fighting more and more and more, to try to bring them into more legal kind of aspect or more formal way. Not because they are nice people, it's because those are also taxes that are going away, right? So I think it's very, 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 very important for us, when we find that point. That's what I would like to just focusing on, is we might be in a very bad situation, economic situation, that we are willing to work in whatever it is it is available. The example that you are giving us right now is kind of light and legal, but there are other things that are illegal and that kind of stuff, right? But
floating, we open up
yeah,
very wide.
So without taking in consideration the situation of an individual, just because it's easy access to an income like that, doesn't mean it's a nice thing. And people nowadays, well, not people, we all have been educated a little bit into the comfort, accessibility, and immediacy of getting things. And that's why the first the potential first reaction is to go to these platforms. But especially new generations, they need to prioritize to retain well-being conditions, like conditions that will provide them good insurance, good systems for saving, all this kind of stuff. Because if not, then you are teaching the companies they can do whatever to anybody. I think, and it's not the same, but I think this is why Amazon is getting also a lot of trouble with their workers, because the working conditions are horrible, and over there they are horrible.
Yeah, that's true.
In here, in the deliveries, yes, go.
In the warehouse in Amazon, and I heard some stories that are like the hell. So here, and just to close up this small parenthesis, well, it opens up, as you said, putting aside the well-being when you have to survive, right? So you decide to do something and you put aside the well-being because you need, in this case, money to survive. So in some cases, when it's possible, as you said, for at least teaching young people to understand that if there are other solutions that might be not as accessible as this one, well, you can try to struggle a bit more and go for them if they provide a better well-being than this. But there are some cases in which this is not possible, and that's where all the problems start. So that's where the main issues, so exploitation and come into the game. and it's very difficult for the individual to counterattack. Okay.
Yeah, as an anecdote, I think I have been across many people in the past 15 years, yes, that much, that every time, as I've been someone who have been moving a lot geographically, and even like the type of job, I heard quite some many times like this advice: do not be comfortable with easy money. Yeah. When I was 18, I had my first job as an educator. Yeah. And some teachers were warning me, like, just be careful because you're going to start liking getting money. Yeah. And if you want to have a higher education, you might rethink it because then you're having money. I do remember that a lot of people said that even in the United States back in the early 2000s or stuff like that, you can actually even live with a McDonald's salary. Yeah. And sure. Oh yeah, and I heard this one again, like, oh, once you move to Europe, you can work in whatever as a waiter or yada yada, anything, and you will be fine, you will be able to live comfortably and that kind of stuff. Sure, this is going to depend a lot on the objectives of each individual, right? But if you want to go, if this is one road, right? Because again, as we have mentioned, there are many roads. But if you want to dedicate yourself into making something more traditional professionally, or higher education or development or something like that, you are going to need to play a marathon. Yeah, not a 200-meter race. Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. At the same time, like also the concept of a hustler, right? And nowadays that concept is thrown a little bit in the entrepreneurship environment, of people that are beating themselves trying to acquire something, and some of them, I really don't know what is the success ratio there. Once they hit it, they go and fly. Mm-hmm. I think it is fine. I think it's fine if the plan is like, okay, I'm not going to be working 2 or 3 jobs for 5 years. I mean, you can try it and do it. Yeah. We also mentioned it a little bit last time, is don't get too soft, but don't get too hard, right? So it's going to be always tricky to measure that part.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to depend on how old are you, what kind of profession.
So all the experiences you have and etc. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so well, from my side, I would like to just emphasize that is when we see this type of companies that are providing easy access to a job or a gig, basically, try to have a well set up plan, because do not invest your full day working on that if you want to do something else. Yeah, it's like, okay, when you are responsible of your own income and all your life, you need to be able to plan accordingly to see where are you going to be, in this case working as in this gig thing, and where are you going to be working for your stuff, right?
Yes, economically might not agree with the mental well-being, let's say. Okay, so what you are looking for.
Yeah, so, because at the end, that's exactly what everybody should be nice to have in consideration. It's like, if you're going to have a job, it has to provide you something good to your life, mm-hmm. right? And I'm talking on jobs even like in mining or oil drilling, who I'm sure they are not nice for the environment, and talk whatever you want, but whoever is working on those places should have also good conditions to live, and good conditions to self-exist outside of the job. Right. So I will say that just be careful when we encounter these things, and if there are movements, if the government is trying to formalize against that, support it. You cannot have free capitalism, 100 capitalism system. No, you cannot have that.
Totally not.
So we're basically on time. I don't know if you want to say some more words.
Yeah, just to close it up, we brought up our perception, okay, on this topic. What I think is something that is interesting to think about, that who listens to us might have a different perception, and etc. So we might all have different perception on any given topic. And what is important to understand is that our perception might not be useful, or at least right, for someone else. So everyone in a certain topic might have their own perception. And we have, many times it happens that, in my opinion, lately we are always more getting self-awareness as individuals. So we are getting more and more self-awareness of what our needs and our views, and we expect to have rights to be ourselves and to impose ourselves as individuals. Okay, this is a trend that I see that is always more and more establishing. And this, if we don't control it, it might bring up that we see ourselves as the owner of the total right. So our perception might become, in our opinion, the right and the true perception for anyone else. So I was taking this Deliveroo example, and at the beginning I said there are people that use Deliveroo for working for certain reason, others for different reason, and blah blah blah. So perhaps if we have a perception that should be somehow, the other work that use Deliveroo for a different reason might have a different one. So that's the point. Think about your perception, perhaps maintain your position, but try not to. It's not about being empathetic or whatever. It's just about being sensitive to understand that someone else might have a different point of view and different perception on a certain topic. And
that's it.
It might value as much as yours. So that's the point that I wanted to bring up with this example.
This part. Okay, fair enough. Well, so thank you. Hope there is something good that you people can take from this. And again, we will appreciate if you spread the word. You give us you give us some feedback. We've been kind of low on views and that kind of stuff, so help us out over there and subscribe, and let's keep it coming. We're gonna keep doing this until someone dies here. Okay.
And so, just a quick spoiler. We will go live on Instagram very soon.
Yes. Sure. Okay. Well. Yeah. Anyway, so as for now, we were on, and until the next one.
Yeah. See you.